Welcome back to the 9th Gym program, and today we are doing the last Series 6 guide. The next guide video that'll be up will be on Series 7 with the post-DLC Crown Tundra. Crazy. So, for my last one, I picked Klinklang because on my list, I think this is the most viable, or at least one of the strongest of them. And yeah, it's Klinklang. Klinklang is pretty cool, actually. Steel typing is really solid. As you can see here, 1,000,000 resistances, only one immunity, and then 3 weaknesses, which isn't that bad, especially since its bulk is really solid. Actually, it has a great ability being clear body, which means it's not intimidatable. It's also not max move secondary effectable, if that's definitely not a word. I don't think anybody's said that ever. But yeah, Klinklang's pretty cool. It has some pretty good stats. Its damage output isn't insane, but if you use something like Life Orb with Dynamax, or even Weakness Policy, which is what I opted for today's video, it can do some really good damage, and it's actually a pretty good Pokemon. I think it got underused this format. I think in Series 6 it actually could have been a really solid Pokemon. So without further ado, let's talk about it. So I already talked about the ability and the typing and stuff, but as far as the stats go, it's actually pretty good. So as far as bulk stats go, HP at 60 isn't that great, but with Dynamax and its really solid defenses and even HP investment, it can be really good. Defense at 115 is really good. Physically, this Pokemon is going to be able to tank a lot of hits, and even proccing your weakness policy with super effective hits. If they're physical, then you're pretty much not worried about the damage that much. So it's pretty good. And then special defense is 85, which is pretty average, but pretty solid as well, especially matched with the good defense. And then, like I said, HP investment and Dynamax. This Pokemon's really bulky, which is really good. As far as offense goes, 100 attack is actually really good, especially with Shift Gear. It has this new move called Shift Gear that gives you +1 attack and then +2 speed. So it's kind of like a baby Shell Smash, but it doesn't have any of those lowering effects as well. So the Pokemon has a really good setup move that allows its mediocre attack and mediocre speed be very good, actually. So it's pretty cool. As far as speed at 90, it's not a great speed tier to be at, but like I said, with Shift Gear doubling speed, it can be really good. And you also have options of even Trick Room. I mean, even this Pokemon gets Trick Room, or you could use a different Trick Room Pokemon. So, the Pokemon has a lot of different ways to be played. And yeah, let me show off my favorite way to play it. So let's move on to the VGC build itself. So as far as the VGC build goes, I'm running Clear Body Weakness Policy. So essentially what Clear Body says is that your opponent can't lower it, so essentially you're not going to get intimidated, which is good because Arcanine is a top 3 Pokemon in Series 6, and as we move on, Arcanine and Incineroar are still going to be super played even in Series 7. So yeah, Klinklang is pretty cool with Clear Body. It's really good. Also, max moves, things like what are the ones that Max Darkness and Max Flutterby and stuff aren't going to be affecting this Pokemon, or Max Wormwind, not Flutterby. Flutterby wouldn't matter at all. So yeah, you can't get Max Wormwinded, Intimidated, any of those things. Max Strike from Porygon Z, you don't care about at all, so that's really cool. Yeah, I like Clear Body a lot. It's a really powerful ability. Weakness Policy gives you +2 in attack whenever you're hit with a super effective attack. Weakness Policy Dynamax is not a new thing. It's been one of the most powerful ways to make not super meta Pokemon meta throughout all of out of all of VGC 2020 with the introduction of Dynamax. So I think Weakness Policy on this Pokemon makes it very balanced and very strong. So yeah, it's something that I like a lot. I think it's really good. Next, we have our moves. Let's talk about moves. So, Shift Gear, Gear Grind, Wild Charge, and Protect. Now, Gear Grind and Shift Gear are both new moves, I believe. I think we got Gear Grind before, actually, but I don't know. Never really used this Pokemon. Never gave it the light of day, but I like it now. Shift Gear gives you +2 speed, +1 attack, like I was saying, which is really good. Puts you into a range for a lot of really good damage calcs, as well as just good speed. Which is really good for this Pokemon. Gear Grind is your stab move. It hits 50 damage but twice, and max move turns to the 130 BP, so it's really good. Then we have Wild Charge and Protect as well. Wild Charge is really its only coverage move. We also have Giga Impact, but yeah, I just went with Wild Charge. I think it's better. Getting rid of the Spore is really good, and yeah, I think just setting the terrain is not bad for this Pokemon anyway. And then we have Protect as well, which I shouldn't really have to explain Protect. So, since this Pokemon only has one typing, going for Stab, Protect, one coverage move, and then one move of choice, which is Shift Gear, I think is pretty standard, but also very, standard for a reason, because it's very good. So yeah, that is going to be it for the moveset. Now, it is a little bit customizable. You do have a couple of really interesting moves, like Ally Switch. You know, a lot of people like to just put Ally Switch on random things, and this Pokemon does get Ally Switch, so might as well run Ally Switch on it if you want to. Giga Impact, like I said, gives you strong max strike, which is good, and Steel Roller in a more terrain-heavy format, maybe next format when we get Tapus. Steel Roller will be the move of choice over Gear Grind. But for now, we'll put a pin in that. Trick Room is also a good option for this Pokemon. 90 speed is not crazy. You could even min speed it and go under 100. Be in a pretty good position that way as well. It's another good option, but it's not what I opted for here because I think Shift Gear is just so powerful. Yeah, that's it for the moves. As far as the EV spread, I just went 252 into HP and attack, and then 4 into special defense. I just thought that was pretty basic, and then I went Adamant Nature as well. So I just, wanted it to be pretty well damaging, pretty like well versed in damage, and then you could go for like speed upgrade as well, but since Dragapult's gone, at 110 speed, actually even with Dragapult, Shift Gear doubles your speed. It gives you +2 in speed, so there's not really any point to like investing too much if it's going to be a Shift Gear build, because you're just going to Shift Gear and then you're at 220 speed. Like, you don't care about speed investment, it's fine. So yeah, that's pretty much what I went with for Klinklang. I think it's pretty cool. Adamant Nature, just to do as much damage as possible. I like it. I think it was pretty good. So let's talk about these synergetic Pokemon in the bottom right corner. So I have Arcanine as the first one. So weakness policy, the self-proc weakness policy of choice will be most likely Bulldoze, because it does little damage, it lowers your speed, which is not good, but it lowers both opposing Pokemon speed as well. And after a Shift Gear, even going +1 in speed puts you at like 160 something. It's pretty good, 165. So yeah, it's pretty good. Speed even after a Bulldoze, but yeah, fast Bulldoze is probably the best way to activate this Pokemon's weakness policy, since it does such little damage. And using Arcanine, you get an Intimidate off first, and then you have a fast Pokemon using Bulldoze, and it seems like the best way to proc self-proc weakness policy for this Pokemon, so that's why I went with Arcanine. Next we have Primarina. Primarina kind of just covers all the bases for weakness for like typing, being weak to ground, fire, and fighting. Primarina destroys all those. Pretty easy to figure that out. So yeah, I think Primarina makes for a really solid partner for Klinklang. Last but not least, I have Clefairy. So like I said, the Shift Gear build is really good, and when you play the Shift Gear build, you opt to go for Shift Gear pretty frequently on turn 1, and it's not very safe to do that without redirection. And I thought, why not go with Clefairy? It's probably the best redirection Pokemon for this. Your opponent's going to go for any, fire, fighting, or ground move, and Clefairy can kind of just tank all of those, so that's pretty good. And then you could also go for like a Moongus or something, but then you have really strong heat waves, just really ruining your day. So yeah, that's why I went with Clefairy. I think it's best, because even if they heat wave, then Clefairy's not taking much damage, and any other attack is hitting Clefairy. And if they go for like Rock Slide or Earthquake, well, Earthquake would kind of suck, but Rock Slide, you wouldn't take that much damage anyway. So yeah, I think Klinklang's fine with that, and I like Clefairy on the side of it. So all three of those Pokemon make a lot of sense for Klinklang, so it's pretty good. If I made a Klinklang team, I'd probably start with the core of Klinklang, Primarina, and Arcanine. That'd just be how it is. Anyway, let's talk about these items as well, because they are customizable as well. If you don't want to go for the weakness policy build, you can go for Life Orb, because that would just give you a strong Dynamax item. You can go for Air Balloon, which just nullifies one of your weaknesses, and then for like until you get hit. And then you have Lumberry as well, because if this thing gets burned, it's really bad news. Its damage output is already only mediocre, and getting burned would suck. Anyway, that is it for the VGC build. Let's go ahead and talk about some speed tiers. So as you see here, I have it split off. One is going to be with Shift Gear, and the other that says Gear Grind. I meant to put Shift Gear. One is with Shift Gear, and the other is without Shift Gear. So 220. Let's talk about that first. So with Shift Gear, it doubles your speed, it gives you +2 speed. And even if you don't bulldoze, you're at 220, which is really good, outspeeding a lot of great Pokemon, even Dragapult and Cinderace in Series 5 or Series 7, which is really good. But even without those Pokemon, you're still outspeeding really good Pokemon like Toxtricity, Dracovish at Scarf, more so the Dracovish, and then a couple of other Pokemon under Tailwind, and then a lot of just top speed Pokemon, things like Durant, Inteleon, Duraludon, Fast Duraludon, a lot of really strong fast Pokemon. You're still outspeeding, which is really good, even with the -1 from Bulldoze, giving you essentially +1 if you Shift Gear and then Bulldoze the next turn. Yeah, it's pretty good. You still get really, really fast, which is good. Next we have, the things that are getting outsped by Kingdra, Dracozolt at Tailwind, a couple of other Pokemon at Tailwind, Dracovish at Tailwind, if they go for Tailwind instead of just Scarf. So there's a couple of things that you're definitely going to want to be careful of Klinklang, by Klinklang. But, I mean, PZ, one of the biggest threats in Series 6, just gets destroyed by this thing. It walls out every one of its moves. It doesn't care at all. So that's really good. And if it, is accompanied by Tailwind, it will be outspeeding. But like I said, it just doesn't really care at all. So that's good. Anyway, the regular build of Klinklang hits 110, without the shift gear active. You don't always get to shift gear turn 1. It's not always optimal. So, 110, you're still getting outsped by a lot of really good Pokemon, things like Dracozolt, Duraludon, all the Pokemon we already mentioned. But you're still outspeeding a lot of good Pokemon, things like Serena, Lapras, Sylveon, Grimmsnarl, Sableye, although they're going to be using Prankster moves. Like, you outspeed a couple of good Pokemon, but it is not a great speed tier to be at, is at 110, so, it's fine, though, because most likely you're going to be shift gearing early, which lets you be fast, which is good. Anyway, that is going to be it for the speed tiers. Let's go ahead and talk about some damage calcs. So, damage calcs I liked a lot. I think they're really strong with this Pokemon. So, I didn't add the, oh, I don't know what I just did. Oh, well. Let's just, yeah. Okay, chill. Give me a grid. I don't want a grid. Okay. Photoshop's weird. Anyway, so next we have Klinklang Max Lightning into a Dynamaxed Primarina with +2 from Weakness Policy. Into the Primarina. So this is a really good matchup because you can go Bulldoze with the Arcanine, and then you're faster than the Primarina, so you get to hit first with Max Lightning Weakness Policy procced. Now, it is a little unfortunate that we only hit 91 to 108, which is a 50% chance to OHKO, something I wouldn't really rely on, but I mean, what does Primarina do, right? Like a max, like all of its attacks are resisted. It's not going to be doing too much damage. Yeah, obviously Life Orb, Primarina, Max Geyser is going to do a lot of damage, but it's resisted. You're not really too worried about that in general, so it's not bad. It's not resisted, by the way. I just thought about that. It's not resisted. But still, it's not the worst. It's not the end of the world. It's not a great matchup, and with only a 50% chance, it's not guaranteed, but it's not bad. It's not a bad matchup, is what I'm saying. I was wrong. I was thinking steel resisted. Shut up. Okay. Anyway, next we have Klinklang Wild Charge into Talonflame. This is with Shift Gear boosted, but without Dynamax, hitting about 120 to 142, which is a guaranteed OHKO. But if you don't want to have to Shift Gear first, you can go for Max Lightning and hit it with 116 to 137, with Max Lightning without +1 from Shift Gear boost. So that's pretty good. Next, we have Klinklang Max Lightning. This is Shift Gear boosted as well. I know I didn't add it, but I just tried to add it, and then I did the weird grid thing, and it was dumb. Klinklang Max Lightning into Urshifu Rapid Strike at 4 HP, not Dynamax or anything, hitting 115 to 137, which is really good. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's a very similar calc to the above calc, with Max Lightning being able to take it out as well. But if it's Sash and then hits you with a close combat, it's going to be, a sad day. So you probably don't want to do that. Anyway, next we have Klinklang Max Lightning into Corviknight. This is pretty solid, actually. Dynamax with Weakness Policy +2. Hitting Corviknight hits 126 to 149. Most of the time, Corviknight will set up first. It'll start off with, like, a Calm, or not Calm Mind, a Bulk Up or an Iron Defense, and it won't just Dynamax right off the bat. You're able to take advantage of that and pop. He's dead. Next, you have Klinklang Max Steel Spike, Shift Gear boosted Dynamax +1 into an Eviolite Clefairy with Max Special Defense. Max Defense, not Special Defense. So it's 252 HP, 252 plus defense, hitting 125 to 149 still, which is insane. That's only off +1, not +2. That's crazy. Next, we have our only, defensive damage calc. This is just like one of the most used fire Pokemon, and Heat Wave from Arcanine does like 20%, 20-30%. Probably 30 or 40%. But Talonflame, Flare Blitz into the Klinklang, 252 HP, hits 40 to 48% Dynamaxed. So if you Dynamax, you're guaranteed to live 2 of that attack, guaranteed, which is crazy. I said guaranteed twice. That's how guaranteed it is. It's crazy. Really good stuff. Anyway, that is it for our damage calcs. Let's go ahead and talk about single spotlight real quick before I end the video. So in single spotlight, it's pretty similar. I went for leftovers clear body. You know, you can't really self-proc weakness policy, so it's really unreliable. And also, it's probably not the Dynamax of choice for the game. But we still have shift gear and sub. So essentially, you bring this Pokemon in on a resisted hit, they're going to have to switch out, and then you get to use either substitute or shift gear, depending on what you kind of want to go for the rest of the game. Since it has such a shallow move pool, I just wanted to have like Gear Grind and Wild Charge, and then 2 moves left over. And since Protect is not really that good in singles, substitute makes pretty good sense to me. I just went for the same spread, 252 into HP and attack, and then the leftover 4 into special attack, Adamant Nature for damage. I thought it was pretty self-explanatory. I like this Pokemon a lot in singles and VGC. Well, I haven't tested in singles, but it is pretty cool in VGC, and yeah, I think, you know, it's underused in Series 6. Definitely. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I hope you did enjoy. You know, follow the socials, the Patreon, support the Patreon. You know, all those links will be in the description down below. Overall, I think Klinklang is a pretty cool Pokemon, especially in VGC, and I think it's actually pretty shining, or a shining star right now. I think it's actually a pretty good underused Pokemon. So, you know, give Klinklang a try, and yeah, that'll be it. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow the socials, all that stuff. Thank you for watching. Next video is going to be Monday, and it's going to be the VGC Series 7 guides. I'm going to start doing two videos a week. We'll see how long I can do that, or 2 videos a day. We'll see how long I can keep that up, but yeah, expect a lot of guides for the things. So if you want to see any certain guides for Series 7, comment them down below. I already have a cohesive list for the beginning of them, but, you know, after a few, I'll start going from what's most requested. So request it up. Anyway, bye.